I've written down a list here of 10 conference mistakes which I, as an attendee and as an organizer, both here and in the United States, have I think these are my top 10 out of all the things I could have put. And I've written them down. I've given each of you a little handout. You've all got this somewhere in the pile of papers and things on your desk. I'll just quickly whiz through these and then look at what actually these days is making a conference that works. And finally, something that's actually taking off in America at the moment, a new way of organizing conferences, which was originally devised by a nuclear physicist who got fed up with scientific conferences as they were being put on, and it's really taking America by storm, if you've got the courage to present a conference in this way. But we'll come to that in just a minute. If you look at the 10 common conference mistakes here, is that this whole notion, and believe me, I worked for 22 years for the news company Reuters, now called Thomson Reuters, and we used to have a sales conference every year. Why did we have one? Because we always did. Have you not got one? No. These are all, were these all? I beg your pardon, I'm sorry. I thought they were already gone out. It's my fault. They're coming out. But let me just step you through these. You will eventually get them as we go on. Right? A get-together with speeches. That's what an awful lot of conferences are. I remember once, we all went to, in Reuters, went to Interlaken. We're going to have a sales conference. We haven't got Interlaken. That'll be great. What's the conference about? I don't know. Well, haven't we got a product to launch? No, not this year. Haven't we got something new to say? No, let's just have a conference. And we called it Earth, Wind, Fire and Water, the 4 elements. I've never been to such a rubbish conference in all my life. Nobody knew what it was for. So I'd say the first step, and it reflects on what William said to you earlier, know what on earth you're trying to do with the conference. And when you're trying to sell ideas to anybody, and because you're a business of persuading, that's what selling is, you've got to think, what are we doing this for? What is the reason we buy anything? Buy conference tickets, buy bookings at conferences, why you're here today. Why are we here? Why do we do things like that? Why? Why do we buy any sort of product or service? Why? I don't know. Why do you want it? Why? Nobody's thought to themselves, we just go along here, I haven't got anything to do Friday morning. I think we'll wander over to QE Centre. A need. What's the bigger thing? What's the real reason we buy things from people? Carpets, services like this. It's to solve a problem. I think a lot of website designers should actually go back and look at their websites. Your website has no use other than the problems it solves. If your website isn't solving a problem, you shouldn't have it. You shouldn't be having a conference unless you know what problem you're trying to solve for people. All products and services are there because we need to solve a problem. Every relationship in your life. I love you, terms and conditions apply. It's not unconditional. You've got to be solving a problem for me. The only unconditional relationship you have in our life is with our kids or with our parents. Everything else is that. So they're only going to come to your conference if you're going to try and solve a problem for them. I'm a member of the Sales Managers Association of North America. They had a conference last month. It was called, in Chicago, and it was called Advanced Sales Management. And they got worried after a few weeks and nobody wanted to come to it. They were giving away, doing a bog-off, buy one, get one free seats. I wrote to them and said, you're marketing a conference called Advanced Sales Management. Nobody knows what it's about. What problem are you trying to solve for people? No, I don't know. You've got to spell it out. Sit down when you're trying to sell anything to anybody and ask the question. If you don't know, do what I did with all of you first thing this morning. What problem do you want solved here? That's where everything, every marketing strategy, whether it's a conference, a product, or a service, should start from. What are we going to do for people that will make them want to come along? All good salesmen. I'm a salesman by training and profession. My company, we actually teach selling. First thing we say to anybody is, what problem are we trying to solve here? They say, come in and do some sales training for us. I say, what do you want us to do? Some training. And then you ask this killer question, which can actually shut up whole rooms full of directors. What problem are we trying to solve here? I don't know. So unless you know what problem you're trying to solve, I wouldn't even put on the conference. Don't even start from that point of view, because everything else you do should address that point. Second thing, and this was a big conference I went to, I noticed in London, in Holborn, about a few weeks ago. It's a big conference for people in exchanges, 2-day conference. Opened up on day 2, hardly anybody was there in the room. Day 1 had been great, the room had been packed. What do you think's the problem? Why didn't people come back really for day 2? What do you think? And it happens a lot. They're bored. They thought it was going to be just like day one. And they weren't disappointed because it was. So it's just like any relationship with our customers, at home, or anything else. You've got to have a bit of excitement, got a bit of intrigue. What's going to happen tomorrow? Is it going to be any different from today? What could you do tomorrow that's different from today? How could you get people more involved? Don't have all your big speakers on day one. If they think, oh, it's just going to be like another day tomorrow, don't think I'll go along there. How could you energize? Almost anything will do, but don't be the same. I mean, English conferences, British conferences, I like living here in London, but you compare that. Have any of you ever been along to see a man called Anthony Robbins at the Excel, Awaken the Giant Within? Ever seen this? He's an American self-help guru. He's actually, you can be as cynical as you like. I mean, there's a lot of high fives. Hey, man, hey, go on. Woo! You know, we missed. I'm sorry, it's my fault. But I lived in America for 6 years, and if you can't do high fives, don't go and live there, because you have to do them every 10 minutes. Hey, man, how we going? Woo! And that's what it was. I mean, I nearly did it, so I just fooled you, right? But it was very much more energized than any conference. If you go along, he comes once a year to Excel. It's well worth. He's on stage for 3 days himself, this guy. He's really very good. But somewhere between what we do, you know, coming into the conference, very quiet, and check in, get your badge, and go and sit in the room, it's quiet, right? No music. It's like a church, isn't it? Like a funeral. I'm going to say, oh, there's the speaker, he's going to get up now. No wonder they didn't come back. Where was the energy? Where was the, how could you generate, what do you think you could do to generate a bit of energy to make people want to come back tomorrow? What could you be doing? Tell me, just any ideas, no wrong ideas here. What do you think you could do? How could you do it? Good discussions, yeah? Make it a little bit different. Start with a discussion rather than the big rah-rah thing at the beginning, you know, then you get the rather boring speaker does his PowerPoint stuff. Make something a little bit different. Force people to go and sit somewhere different in the room. Well, that's a killer, I can tell you. People arrive at the seat they sat in yesterday, and he says, please today go and sit in seat A23. Oh, where's that? I don't want to sit over there. See, but it gets them all going a little, especially if you're running change management conferences, which I've done. People say, oh, I could change. I could change. Really? Can you? You can't even move 2 meters across the room. You want to sit where you were sitting yesterday, but we're going to get you going. You've got to intrigue them. Make them want to come back tomorrow because they don't quite know what to expect. Make it a bit of a surprise when they come in there. Wow, this is a bit different. I wasn't quite expecting this. So Groundhog Day. Don't make it the same as yesterday. Make it different tomorrow. Great venue. Pity about the conference. A few years ago when I was in the city, we had the Foreign Exchange Dealers Association of the World had a big conference in Hawaii. Everybody took their wife, believe me. Why? It was easier than leaving her behind. That's what we all said. We all went along there. It was actually terrific. But it was such a great venue, nobody wanted to go to the conference.